So I've spent hundreds of hours in Tamriel so far, but I've spent them all alone.
Right.
And that's about to change next year when the Elder Scrolls Online launches. And I caught up with Brian here from Cinemax Online. And just what does it feel like to sort of, because I know you guys have been working on it for a very long time, and now you finally get to sort of show off the game. What's that like?
It's awesome. I mean, to finally say, hey, this is what we're working on, and everybody back at the office is ridiculously proud about the game we're making, which is Elder Scrolls Online. It's everybody is an Elder Scrolls fan, so everybody's so happy to say, hey, this is what we're doing, and just we finally get to be able to tell everybody all about it.
I think anyone who's played any of these games knows that this world is just ripe for an online experience. But still, everyone has experienced it on their own, and they have a very sort of personal relationship to it. So it poses a bit of a challenge for you guys, I guess, anyway, to translate it into an online world.
Yeah, of course. I mean, everybody who plays those games has been, wow, this is great, but I want to play it with my friends. So this is going to be the first time you're going to be able to do that. And to help encourage playing with your friends, we're not going to do some things where you can't get help from your buddies. If you're killing something, I can jump in and help you out, and we're not going to punish you for that. We can do the public dungeon stuff, which is not brand new. It's a revisit of...
It's really old.
It's really old, yeah, but it hasn't been in MMOs for a while, which is great. So if you're having trouble in a dungeon and I just come across it, I can just hop in there and help you out, and there's no waiting in line to do that or anything along those lines. I can just help you out, and that fits really well with Elder Scrolls because there's dungeons all over the place, so why not hop in and help out your buddies there?
I think one thing about Elder Scrolls is that a lot of people play it as if it was an MMO. You know, they collect stuff and they do things on the side, and they don't necessarily follow a linear path through the story or anything like that. So there's already that play style in there. But you have to think of, like, do you want to cater, like, do you cater to Elder Scrolls fans or MMO fans, or how do you strike that mix or balance, or is it possible to do both?
We believe it's possible to do both, because Elder Scrolls games are famous for you're going to one location, you come across something else, you do that, and then you find something else, and you do that, and you just kind of get what we call like distracted, but you're still having fun. So we believe that's important to bring into an MMO space, because that also helps run across other people to play with. So we embrace that philosophy not only in PvE, but in PvP as well, where there's just stuff to do all over the place. And it helps people feel that open field, just running around and finding things to do, which is very, very Elder Scrollsy.
So what we got to see inside here of the theater was a very sort of a quest structure that wasn't exactly like the quests that we always get, because it was sort of multiple ways of solving it, and sort of a quest going into another quest, and then sort of. So how does that work out, and is that going to be significant? Is that going to be the way for an entire game?
There are a lot of quests where you're going to run into decision points, where what you do in that quest changes how the quest ends, or how another quest starts, or when you go into another town, how people react to you. So there are a lot of quests that do change how you do the world in the game.
And how does that fit in with all these players? Because it is your own story, really. Is that the way you solve that?
Well, there is a main storyline that every player does by themselves. You know, it's their story, because we want everybody to be the hero. That's kind of like the main crux of the whole problem. Molag Bal is kind of taking your soul, and for you to save the world, you got to get it back. So everybody has their own individual story, but also while you're doing that, you're going to run across everybody else doing the same types of quests in the area that you're doing. That may not be the main story quest, but it's because they got distracted by all these other things around. You're going to be able to help them out.
So we're standing here in front of what's basically the symbol for the Elder Scrolls Online. Could you just briefly touch on what it represents?
Well, it represents the three alliances in our game. There's the Daggerfall Covenant, which is represented by the lion. So it's the Bretons, the Redguard, and the Orcs. They're up in the northwestern corner, and they have sort of a democratic feel to how they are approaching the world. Over here we have the Ebonheart Pact, and they're kind of what it sounds like, a pact, where they know that they don't get along too well. It's the Dark Elves, the Nords, and the Argonians. So the Dark Elves, Nords, and Argonians. They all get together because they sort of have to get together, or else the other guys are going to kill them. And then we have the Old Merry Dominion in the south. They're a Dominion. They want to go out and dominate. They want to kill everybody. They're the High Elves, the Wood Elves, and the Khajiit. And like their name says, Dominion. They want to go out and dominate everybody.
And that touches on what you're working on, actually, player versus player, because it's a faction war, and I think it's fascinating to see. We saw a little brief glimpse of what combat is going to be like, but it's also interesting that it's three-way combat because it poses a lot of new sort of tactical elements to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, the awesome thing about three-way combat is that where it could just be one-on-one with a two-sided fight, it kind of gets stale or stuck. With three sides, one side can see two guys fighting and figure out, well, who do I want to help or who do I want to not help. So what we've seen a lot of our playtests internally too is that there'll be masses of people fighting each other, and the third alliance will kind of come over a hill and go, all right, I don't like Daggerfall, but I really hate Ebonheart. We're going to crush Ebonheart right now, and then we're going to turn on Daggerfall. So it makes a really cool dynamic out on the battlefield, having three sides fighting each other.
How dynamic is that battle? Is it like set battles or that you move through like a sequence, or is it just an open battlefield, or how will it play out?
Well, Cyrodiil has a lot of locations that you're familiar with from Oblivion, like all the Iliad ruins, various towns, and of course we've added some new structures for you to take over. Those are focal points to get a lot of people to fight each other, but there's also things for small groups to do, solo players to do, and not the 200 people, but a group of 50 or so can run out and do some things. We want you to run around and come across all these people as you're out there. So in terms of the small group, large group, huge group, and focal points, we provide a lot of places for you to find people, but we also want you to kind of explore Cyrodiil just as you explore the rest of the game.
So I suppose, it must be both a benefit and sort of a tricky thing with a game that has so much lore, so many locations that people already know and love, and they know how they should look, maybe not at this point in time, but sort of how is it working with such a rich lore and sort of trying to fit your own game into it?
Well, speaking from Cyrodiil, it is 700 years before you last saw it from Oblivion, so we do get a chance to take those ruins and make them look a little bit more clean, make them look have a couple more pillars around them. Some of the buildings and some of the caves that you've been around, like I use the example of Fingerbowl Cave is one of the ones in the northern area. That one we've kind of blockaded off and sort of like muddied up like you haven't gotten into it yet, whereas you have gotten into it in Oblivion. So we have a little bit of creative freedom to roll back the clock of various locations, and some locations which are forts in Oblivion aren't necessarily forts in our game. Like they could be fully fledged larger structures.
But there must be some sort of book that dictates what can you do, what.
We do have a lore master at work, and he constantly lets everybody know what you can and can't do. We have a huge list of this existed, this did not exist. And we have to stick to that pretty well. But the good thing about our time frame is that if you look up the whole timeline of Elder Scrolls, it simply states that this is a huge time of civil war. So all three alliances, we went, well, we need to exploit that. And we're like, we need to have people beating the crap out of each other in this time frame. So that we get a little bit of a leeway when it comes to the Civil War style.
And it's going to come out next year and hopefully a beta before that?
Yeah, there will be betas for it, and you can look on elderscrollsonline.com for more information about that.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.